One can never have too many comfort dishes for the cold months. Today's is Korean Braised Potatoes. My name is Willow, and this is You Need a Bento. Let's make lunch. So for our braised potatoes, we're going to start with a pot, a nice sized pot with some oil preheated. I've got mine at about a medium. It's been there for about a minute or two. We're going to take our potatoes, cut to the size that makes sense for your lunchbox. Today I'm using a yellow potato. You can use any potato that generally keeps its shape. And the idea here is to brown your potatoes. So lay them out in a single layer as close as you can to, or rather on the bottom of your pot, and let them sit to brown. In this instance, a frying pan might be a good choice just because it's wide and shallow. You're not going to be adding a ton of liquid, so I just used a pot because that was the widest thing that I had at the moment. Now, how brown you let your potatoes get is completely up to you. Some people may like more or less. It's completely up to your preferences. I prefer a little less brown because I find it gets a little bit weird in the lunchbox, in my opinion. But you do whatever it is that you like. And yes, they will stick a little bit, and that's okay. We're going to deglaze our pan later, and all those stuck-on bits aren't going to be wasted. Okay, now I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up, but these have gotten to the point where I like them. Because they're yellow potatoes, they look a little golden, and it doesn't always translate really, really well. So they are to the point where I prefer them. To that, I'm going to add a handful of carrot. It was 2 small carrots. I'll also be putting in some daikon radish. If you can find it, this is a great ingredient to have, especially for braised dishes. They tend to just kind of melt. It's quite nice, actually. I've got probably maybe 50 grams here of daikon radish cut into that size cubes. And I've also got 1 very small onion. I'm going to throw all that in, give it a stir. And this is why I like a big pot. I'm a very messy stirrer. Okay, with all that in, we're going to deglaze our pan a little bit with a cup of the stock that we made last week. And give that a stir. You kind of want to try and scrape up those little bits off the bottom, because they are going to be crunchy and lovely once they're incorporated. Also at this step, we don't want to turn the heat down just yet because our dashi is probably cold. We want to add about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of mirin. Now this you can do without if you want to. This is a tablespoon of sugar. We're also going to be adding honey, so if you prefer one over the other, then that's perfectly fine. We're going to add a little bit of garlic in, a bay leaf, and our tablespoon of honey. So I have creamed honey. And I find it's so easy to measure and doesn't stick to everything, but if you just use the honey spoon to stir, it melts off and then you get it all instead of losing half of it to your measuring device. You want to give that a stir so that the honey can melt and incorporate with everything else. Everything gets evenly distributed. And once you start seeing bubbles again, so your mixture is hot, you want to turn it down and simmer it until the potatoes are tender. This time will depend based on how big you cut your potatoes, how dense your potatoes are, but test your potatoes every couple, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then when they're done, let this sit for maybe 20 minutes, half hour. It has to be cold to go into your bento anyway. Add some sesame oil and some sesame seeds. Maybe usually about half a tablespoon of sesame oil, just a little bit, just to give it that flavor, and garnish with sesame seeds, and you're good to go. I hope you try it out and see what you think. I'd love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.